Welcome back to the Celtics Nation Rise podcast. I'm your host, Griffin Aldrich. Alongside me is my co host, Andrew Quinn. Episode 34 presented by Celtics Talk Weekly. And man, it's a good day. We are back in playoff action. Yeah, that's right. Last year, the Celtics went and they won Banner 18. You got it here. You got it on the hat. Banner 18 last year. And I tell you what, it's a different air. It's a different air that I'm smelling. It's a different time of the year. It's that time where basketball is just a different breed, I think, in a sense. I love playoffs. I I I die for it. Andrew, what's your thoughts on the whole playoff action, even from a basketball perspective, from you playing basketball? How is it to feel that playoff air and just be in that moment?
Yeah, man, I can feel it in my heart right now, like in my gut. Like I'm passionate about it. It's just playoffs are where it's at. It's when the lights are on, and it's when you know when the teams have a choice to either stand up and take charge and lead or kind of sit in the wayside. But yeah, I think just playoffs are such a fun moment and such a fun thing to witness because it's when the best basketball is being played. It's teams are the most intense, they're the most passionate. So I'm really excited to see what these playoffs bring. And I think from a just a playoff standpoint in general, I just think from across the board, there's going to be a lot of competitive matchups. So I'm excited to watch it.
Yeah, I look at this. We have the chance to bring back something special. We have the chance to do Banner 19. We have the chance to do what not only could Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce and Ray Allen do. We have the chance right here this year at our very hands to run it back, go back to back. Something that hasn't happened in a very long time. Do you have that stat when that was? When was the
Say
last
it
time?
again.
When was the last time we went back to back? I should know this. I don't know
I
why I know.
believe. Oh, I don't have that stat. I know I saw it recently, but
Yeah,
it was a while ago.
yeah, like in the 19. I don't know. We'll figure it out. We'll hit you back with that. But we have the chance for something huge this year. And I look at this and I really quick before we dive into anything else, I look at this and I feel like dead alone, the favorites are Cleveland and OKC. It's undeniable that they are the favorites to win. When the Boston Celtics should be up there, we're the reigning champs, and look at us. But I hate to be that person, but we're gonna get into the stats prior to this because we had some games that we didn't go over. From last week, we faced the Magic, who we will get into in a second, and we faced the Hornets twice. Lost to the Magic, and then we won both against Charlotte. Those were kind of meaningless games. But do you want to get into the scores and stats for that first Magic matchup, if you don't mind?
Yeah, for the first one, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, for
Um,
the first game and then those two Hornets games.
yeah, well, the Magic matchup against it won't, I mean, it's not the first game, but the most recent one that we played against them. You know, we didn't have our key guys in the lineup. We were sitting six of them. I was on that post game coverage, and we were kind of at a loss for words to talk about. You don't want to say that a game's meaningless, but in that instance, it felt like it was meaningless. I mean, but a key highlight to mention was that the Magic only scored 96 points in that game. I mean,
Yeah.
and we had our bench players going. We had the G Leaguers. We had the main Celtics.
Oh
Shout
yeah.
out that. But
Shout out.
but we didn't have our key guys, and we were able to hold them to 96 points. I think that shows that the Magic defensively are just not. I mean, offensively are just not as good as the Celtics, and so it's important that we stick to our game plan of knocking down threes because I know that their Magic's percentages behind the arc are not as good. So if we can just stick to our game plan of knocking down threes and really staying consistent with that, I think we'll have a very good shot of containing them and keep and winning a series.
I agree. I look at that most recent matchup and I'm like, whoa. like I wasn't able to watch that game. That was one game that I wasn't able to watch a second of, I don't think. And I look at the score and I'm like, wait, what? Like, is this a real game? This is like from not even, I don't even know when the last time like a team scored 70 something. So what was that final score? Really quick, hold on. I'll try to pull it up too.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, but that was just I feel like, I look at that and we look at it really quick and the final score was 76 to 96. So we lost by 20, like you said, kind of a meaningless game. But you
Mhm.
said you had the G Leaguers. I mean, so I'm not worried about that in a sense. I think that's one thing that kind of it's one team that the Magic are fighting. They're gonna give it 100% effort, and we're resting guys. But we move into really quick those 2 Hornets games. Like I said, we're gonna give you playoff action. Just bear with us for a second. We had that big blowout game, 94 to 130. Just an incredible team effort. I love the efforts I've seen from that game. Great game right before the end of the regular season. And let's just brush up on this last one. The last game was 93 to 86 Boston Celtics, getting 2 wins to wrap up the season, ending the season off with a record of 61 and 21. So I was very impressed from that efforts and just our overall seasons. I want to really quick before we dive extremely into playoffs. What is your season recap? What was your thoughts on the season? Hit me with it.
Yeah. So I kind of covered this with check out our recent article on Celtics Talk Weekly. We did kind of like a collaborative article with David put it together. But I'd say for one thing, I was very happy with the Celtics because we faced adversity. We had that little stretch in January where we couldn't really figure it out. We hit a lull, we hit a wall, right? But the fact that we were able to dig ourselves out of that and find a way to be effective, I think that's such a important thing to pay attention to because come playoff time there will be adversity. There will be tough times that we have to push through and persevere through. So I think that we worked that muscle in the middle of January. So hopefully we'll be able to use it in playoff time. Another thing, I think it was cool to see some guys kind of step up. Cornette really saw a jump in his production and his ability to impact us on the offensive end, and I think he's going to be helpful. With maybe Horford. His numbers did drop this year. He didn't get as many minutes, so
Yeah.
being able to have him in the rotation and just give us that energy off the bench. And I think playoffs are all about momentum. So having him step up has been really nice. And another thing, Shireman, I mean, his ability to really make an impact with, limited minutes available. Coming into the season, there was so many guys in the rotation that it was kind of hard to see where Shireman would fit in. But he ended up having like 12.5 minutes, I believe, like playing a lot of time, and you just saw him kind of bring that spark off the bench and defensive intensity. I don't know what he's going to be like come playoff time, but I do know it's nice to see. It's refreshing and hopeful to see such a uh, um, talented prospect coming off the bench. That considering we're in that that second apron and tack and money's going to be a problem. Money's going to be tight, so we got to figure out what we can do. So Sharman's hopeful, and then I mean just the road, like playing on the road. I mean, you saw it in that historic 6-game road winning streak. I mean, it was impressive. It was historic, right? So
Yeah.
that the fact that we can win on the road is so imperative in playoffs because if you can steal a couple wins on the road and then some team has to come back on their back heels at your home gym, it's dangerous and you don't want to be in that position. So I think the Celtics season has been phenomenal. I think there's been so many good things to see, and I think it's really setting us up for a good playoff. So what do you think? Because I'm curious, because I think there's so many other things that we could touch upon.
Yeah. I would say this. I would say for a season that felt so meaningless in January and that rough stretch, it was a fun one. I want to say like I hated that slump we were in, and I saw a video last night when we were in that rough streak. Joe Mazzulla thought he was gonna get fired and stuff, and it was just like it was ugly basketball to watch, but we were still playing 500 basketball. Like we were still.
That's
Yeah. If we were playing that basketball all year round, we would still be in playoffs. Like, I think that's the most impressive part. But I think the most impressive thing to me is the fact that we still got 60 wins with that rough part. And the fact that you basically already said it, Andrew, but we overcame adversity and we turned that around. Like, I mean, the Boston Celtics in January were like, are we title contenders? Are we? We were here on this program, Lewis, Kyle, and I talking about should we push that panic button? Like we were having Ian on, we were having special guests on, and we were like, do we push this panic button? Should we be concerned? Like we were getting feedback from them. What's gonna happen with the Boston Celtics? Are they not gonna go back to back? We had questions in our head, but they shut us right up. They're like, look, we were playing meaningless basketball. The team wasn't there, but the team connected again. And that's why I loved from the season. I loved some of the exciting games that made my heart break a few times, like that Cleveland one. Two of the Cleveland losses killed me. I felt like it was playoffs and I was over here punching stuff. Just kidding. I kept my cool somewhat, but it was rough. It was rough. It was rough. And I just think I think the most valuable thing to me is we're going into playoffs semi-healthy. I'm nervous about Jalen Brown. I am super, super nervous about Jalen Brown. We don't have this under here, but that will be a talking point too, Jalen Brown. Um, but I will say I'm happy that we're healthy. I'm happy that Porzingis is here. I'm happy we made it through the regular season with our full squad. I'm happy Porzingis is here. We've heard a lot about Drew Holiday with that mallet finger. He's doing good. We heard Jason Tatum. Remember that scary injury
yeah.
against the Sacramento Kings with Sabonis stepping in his landing space, hurting his ankle? That could have been the season right there. That could have been the season. But I'm happy we're in a sort of realm where we're healthy. And lastly, I love Peyton Pritchard. That is probably my favorite piece of this season. Last year, Peyton Pritchard, he came off the bench during our playoff run, but he came off for a specialty. He was there for half court shots. That was
That's it.
his specialty. Yeah, they would put him in at the buzzer. He'd make a half court shot. That was his specialty. Peyton Pritchard has changed his whole look this season, and now he's a guy that could give you 30 off the bench any given night. Like if he needed to, he could give you 30 off the bench. I mean, he's a 6 man of the year candidate, and I don't have it up, but hold on. I want to go. When you get the chance. Wait, no, I got it. I'm gonna look, but we're gonna go over Celtics Nation Rise MVP for the season too.
Mm.
But I know he got up into third place with 7 of them. I think I remember them. Yeah, Jason Tatum ended the season with 25. And the fact is that you would think you would go Jason Tatum, Jalen Brown, probably Porzingis. No, it went Jason Tatum, Porzingis, then Peyton Pritchard. Like that's impressive that his effects this season were just dramatically different. Like I don't know what he did in the off season, but he is a dog. I want to use that term. He is a dog. He's the great addition to this Boston Celtics, and I think this is why I'm so positive going into playoffs because our team looks different, but it's the same players. They just got better. The chemistry's
Yeah,
there.
that's true. That's
Yeah,
very true. They got better, and they have the experience in the playoffs.
ex-
It's a dangerous recipe.
it is. It is. I love what you just said there. It is a dangerous recipe because we were there. We won banner 19 and we just got better. I mean, let's look at who we lost from last year. We lost Jaden Springer. Okay, he was a defensive effort. We didn't use him. We lost O'Shea Brissett. Okay, he gave you a little energy, but we didn't really use him. Savima Luke gave you a 3 off the bench, but we didn't even use him. That's 3 guys that we just didn't use, you
Yeah,
know?
I'd say the only player. that we didn't lose, but we like in some ways lost kind of like production. Like I just remember I was at that playoff game, the watch party, and like Tillman hit like a big time three,
Yep.
like
Mhm.
timely things, you know. And I think we have guys that can step up for that, but you know, it's interesting that he did bring us something. So
I agree. I think that hurts. I'm happy that you said that because I was almost gonna say we lost Tillman because we lost his effects from last year.
right,
I think Baylor Shireman fills those shoes. I feel like Baylor Shireman might be the guy that you lean to in a Xavier Tillman role where he could come in off the bench and kind of give you a nasty three from the corner. But you're right. You're right. That's a tough loss.
but I think
That
Cornette stepped up and guys like that, you know. But I think and like we talked about, like, but it is like you said, Shireman can bring that. It's not necessarily like position who is effective. It's more so like who's that guy that brings that spark that
yeah,
that like gets the crowd going, gets the energy.
exactly.
I think Shireman can do that, and maybe even take that Pritchard role of like hitting half court shots. It's a different, you know. You always need one of those guys, the
Oh,
people, the crowd pleaser. You know, I mean, the one that's like, who is this guy? Let's go, man. We're getting fired up. You know, like so. I think
I
Shireman can bring that, so I think we're okay.
I agree. I agree. I love my highlights too from the season is some of his nasty passes. They said the Rondo pass
Oh yeah,
with Shireman. I'm a big fan of him. And I know you and I especially because we went to see him in Maine. So it was fun. You go and buy a cheap ticket and you get to see NBA talent down there. That was incredible.
oh
Go check out the interview with him by the way. Go check it out
there,
right now on the YouTube. It's a short. Go check it out. You gotta watch it. You can't miss it. Can't miss it. Yeah, but that was incredible. I look at a lot of the highlights of the season and I'm like, just this team is so great. But it's that time. It's that time. The Boston Celtics are facing the Orlando Magic. You heard us say it like several times, but here's the graphic to prove it. Um, Duke versus Duke, we could say.
yeah,
You got Pablo Banchero up there versus Jason Tatum. Um, I don't know. So there's a friendship, there's a rivalry. I look at one other thing too. I look at kind of the chance we want Boston. Um, Question, Andrew. I've seen a lot of TikToks about it already, but you remember what happened last year when teams said we want Boston? Do you remember last
yeah.
year?
It it's getting to a point, man. You gotta have some self respect, you know. They're just
They're
setting
doing it
themselves
to
up for
themselves.
failure.
Yeah, they're doing it to
They're
themselves.
giving
I
us
mean,
too much. They're fueling the fire, man. We already have a fire burning. I mean, we that's the Celtics culture, and we want to win at all costs. But then you pour a little more gasoline on it, man. You're they are asking for it, legitimately asking for it, and we'll give it.
you know, I think fans don't realize the Boston Celtics, like the players, do have social media. Like you
That
could look
too.
you could look up their social media online. Like they see those posts.
I
So
know.
them saying we want Boston is just like they're looking at that on their phone and they're like, "You guys want Boston? We'll give you Boston."
Yeah,
So yeah, it's I don't know. I think
fun.
I'm ready for it. I'm
Yeah,
ready for it because
I'm
you
ready
know
too.
yeah, you know what happened last year with that. So facing off against the Orlando Magic, what was our record in the season against them? Um,
We unfortunately we went one in we went 1-2 actually, I believe, and we
mhm,
lost December 23. We lost 108 to 104. 2025 won 2095, and then oh wait, no, this is no, my bad. That is not right. That is incorrect. I apologize. That is incorrect. My
all
bad.
good, all
Um,
good, all good.
but yeah, I know that I don't know specifically, but
But we went 1-2.
yeah, I don't think so. I don't think so. I don't think
Oh
so.
wait,
Could
hold
be
on.
wrong. I think
Let
I'm
me
wrong.
let me check
Um,
too.
but yeah,
All right, so we lost this recent one. Let me go check really quick. I just look at this. I think the matchups though that we've had against them. All right, so I have a win right here. So we're 1-1 right now. Sorry, I don't know why I can't find this. And then 2-1 right now. Um, I think you might be right because I think the in-season tournament affects it. So, yeah, yeah, you're right. So the Boston Celtics lost to 1-1. I look at this. I look at that one game where Traveling Queen just popped off and just murdered the Boston Celtics.
Hmm.
Yeah, I don't random guys do it. But I look at this. I look at the Duke matchup. Jason Tatum is the best player on any side of the floor. It's just how it is. I look at the Magic. They're a young team. They're a young team. I think the Magic could potentially next year make a bigger run, but they're playing the Boston Celtics first round. I mean, you're playing the defending champs, and you look at it. I look at the games, and I'm not too concerned about the games. I really am not. Um, I look at those games, and I look back, and I'm like, okay, Traveling Queen beat the Boston Celtics. He's not gonna do that again. You might steal a game from us. Okay. I look back and that win was good. We had a
They
good win.
also, yeah, they had Jalen Suggs as well, and he was playing well, and
Yeah.
they lost him, so that's
Yeah.
also.
So yeah, let's dive right into it. So you look at the matchups. Jalen Suggs, you said lost him. Um, Pablo Banchero. I think this. I think since Banchero came back from his injury, he has not been the same. I'm gonna say that. I haven't watched a bunch of Magic games, but Pablo Banchero has not been the same guy. I think. I don't know. I might be wrong. Have you seen his stats? Does he look I know I what am I doing, Griffin? Like I need to be more observant. I need to watch the games if I'm gonna cover them. Yeah, I know. But no, I look back and I just look at the matchup and I think this is kind of one matchup where it's like I would have rather faced Atlanta first round because I think you could beat Atlanta in 5 games. I think I feel like I really do feel like the Magic could give you a little nudge.
I'd
But
agree.
yeah.
I
Um,
defensively, the Magic are very, very talented team. Um, they have a lot of guys, a lot of workhorses that really want to, you know, give you a hard time, and they're young, so they're gonna have fresh legs, and they're gonna be able to hang with the Celtics. So I think from that standpoint, you could get the Celtics in that area because you never know. Maybe the Celtics have a bad shooting night, and the Magic just defensively are dogging them. Like there's a chance, and I think that it's that wouldn't have happened with the Hawks, less of a defensive presence. So
yeah.
I think that we'll have to see how that goes, but I just don't think on like offensively the firepower for the Magic will be enough. And I think also experience wise too, since they are young, it's gonna kind of take a toll on them. So it's kind of my perspective on it.
And I look at this, I think the biggest leader they have on the team is Casey Contavious Caldwell Pope. I don't know why I couldn't say his name for a second. Um, but I look at him, he's the most leader, veteran experience, but the Boston Celtics, the whole team has veteran leader experience now, except for Baylor Shireman, Miles Norris. Is that it? Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Like you look at Torrey Craig, but you look at those guys and they all went to the top and won Banner 18. You look at that. So I look at this. What's different than having one player that has NBA championship experience? We have a full team of
Mhm.
guys who went there, won that, understood how it went, and now we're good. I look at that. That's the really only veteran experience they have on the team. Um, but I look at this matchup and I look that this could easily be a good series. But the thing that does scare me a little bit is Jalen Brown. I don't have the graphic up. I don't have anything like that. You just guys gotta take my word for it. But Jalen Brown has been having pain injections, correct? He's
Correct.
been having pain injections. Um, he had it before, like he's been doing that before playoffs. that scares me. I don't know about you, Andrew, but that scares me.
Yeah, I talked about that in the article. I think that's my biggest concern because not having Brown to go with Tatum is is something that we can't afford to not have, and I know he's getting the injections, and I think that he does have that edge to him where he'll be able to play through it, but you just never know, and we just can't afford to not have our full lineup considering we're coming off a championship and teams are going to give us their best shot.
I agree, and it scares me because of this. It scares me because I think he's fine. I think like you could see he still gave you a 30 piece even with being injured. So it doesn't scare me too much, but it definitely is a cause of concern for sure. Um I look at Jalen Brown and I look at one of the biggest reason I wouldn't say the biggest, but not like a huge chunk of the reason why you won Banner 19 is because of him. Eastern Conference MVP and Finals MVP. You take those two things, and that means he was the best player in that whole series. You look at that, he was the best player in those series if he got those awards, you know? So you look at that and you're taking the best guy, and now you're kind of all right, he's injured. That scares me a lot. That scares me. I don't know, but I look at this. I look at the bright side. I think, I feel like they might play him. And if the Boston Celtics get up on an early lead to the Magic, like a 2-0, 3-0, you could get kind of pull him back maybe some, rest him for that next series. But I can't get ahead of myself like that. We're
Yeah.
going into this saying this is gonna be a blood battle. Like we gotta, but I feel like Jalen Brown, it's kind of a series. It's not an easy one. This first
Oh,
series is not an easy one.
and you got to remember, like last year, what kind of how that first series went with the Hawks. It wasn't a walk in the park. I mean, these teams have nothing to lose. They're
Yeah.
in that. We have some lose, they don't. So they're gonna give us their best shot. It's not. So we really have to stay disciplined and stay, to our game plan and execute on a high level and pick and increase intensity. It's just it's not going to be an easy series.
I look at this though. I actually went to one of those playoff games in 2022 versus the Atlanta Hawks, and I went to Game 5 at the Garden. I think it was Game 5, but it was at the Garden. They lost, and then it went to a 6-game series, which you can't do that with the Magic. You need to dominate. You need to dominate all 4 quarters. I mean, you need to make this a series where it's easy. You got to get out of it. You got to get rested up for your next opponent. Because the thing in 2022 that we did so wrong is we made these series so long, and that's what ultimately killed us at the end. We talked about this. Seamus has said it recently. I don't know what he said it on, maybe a post game show, maybe last episode. But the thing that killed you in 2022 is you had these long series, so you were tired going into that finals. You were exhausted, and the other team ultimately had more than you because you were so tired from these long series, these 7-game series, this 6-game series with the Hawks. The Boston Celtics were drained as a team. And that's one thing that you can't do if you're the Boston Celtics. You really need to give it all 4 quarters. You need to put your foot on the gas pedal, and you got to keep going. That's my thought. What are your takes about that?
No, that's a
I-
great
Lord-
point. I mean, I think that's a great point. I think the conference this year is a lot more competitive.
yeah,
So you're right. It will be beneficial to us to finish up a series quickly. That way we can rest and prepare for the next because there these like I said, it's going to be more competitive. It's just plain and simple. So we got to be able to be ready for those matchups, and you just don't want to waste your energy on the Magic. So put them away,
yeah,
and don't waste time.
I agree. It's one where I don't want to go over a 5-game series. If we get into 6, that's going to be irritating for me. I want it. I want us to get the job done early. Um, Quick before we keep talking about Celtics, I want to add on to this. I think another effort that won't really give you a lot of effort off the bench. But JD Davison signed a 2-year contract with the Boston Celtics.
Yeah, congrats to him. Very it's awesome to see.
Player.
It just shows hard work, paid off. And I want to say when I went to the main Celtics, it was funny. There's a guy sitting next to me, and he was a painter. I don't know where he was from, but I know he's from kind of northern Maine. He said goodbye to me. He's like, yeah, I got to go 2 hours north or whatever after the game. So respect to him. He's a real win. He's a real fan. But Brad Stevens was sitting across the court from us, and
Yep.
The guy next to me started sign languaging to Brad Stevens. He's like, sign JD, because he loved him and he saw how much he, brought to the team. So I think it was just a cool experience, kind of cool anecdote, and yeah, I mean, good for him, man. And I know I've had some kind of concerns with him, just kind of because of his play style and the way he operates. I feel like he's very ball dominant, and he's a high volume scorer, and he needs a lot of the ball. He needs the ball in his hands a lot of the time. And we have Tatum and we have Jaylen Brown, so it's going to be harder for him to kind of get the production that he wants. But maybe he plays into that like 6-man off the bench, or he finds a role off the bench where he can kind of be a little more productive and have his own kind of lineup where we can utilize him. Who knows? But congrats to him, and I think he's still a great piece to have.
I agree. I think he's young. Don't go back and pick on me for the JD Davison slander I had, because I love JD. I love JD. I think this is a good signing. I think he just needs to change his habits, like you said. He's the type of player that's gonna go into a game, and I was talking about this yesterday with someone. He's the type of player that's gonna go into a game and he wants to dictate the pace all 4 quarters, and he wants to give it, he wants to control the pace of the game. And that's a thing where he's going to come in off the bench. He is not, I don't see him be a starter for this Boston Celtics
No.
team. I don't. At the end of the day, I don't. So he needs to have a sit down talk with Peyton Pritchard, and they need to get into the gym. And Pritchard needs to tell him, hey, this is how you become the 6-man of the year. He needs to learn a bench rule and come in like that.
Yeah, obviously not 6-man, but a bench role for sure. And I think that his playmaking ability could be a little better, and because I feel like his turnover rate, like he just needs to pick up the speed of the game. Like obviously it's a learning curve. It's always and he's gonna learn. Obviously he has some of the best coaches and the best players to learn under. But no, I'd agree. There are some habits that he has where he's gonna have to find a way to kind of fit into the Celtics rather than stand out.
I agree. It's not a big talking point. Like, we only did this because it's breaking news. Go check out the video on my account, Celtics Nation Rise. If you guys don't, if you're on Celtics Talk Weekly, go over there, check it out. Make sure to subscribe to Celtics Talk Weekly and Celtics Nation Rise. Go check us out. But back to playoff action. I just want to mention that before that kind of leaves my head, because I was like, oh, we got to talk about JD. But I'm just ready. I'm gonna pull up another graphic. I was in Boston yesterday. Um, it was very random. But I no clue why. Like I said, very random. But you look up there in the rafters. Who do you see those? You see Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Porzingis, Derek White. I'm sure Al Horford was there, Pritchard and Sam Hauser. You look at that really quick, and that's what I love to see. I love to see that playoff energy, that kind of it's back. Oh, my bad, wrong graphic. But you look up there, and that's what bleeds green to me. I look at TD Garden, and it says Celtics playoffs. It's that time. It's that time up in the air. I loved going there yesterday. I made a video that I'm gonna post. I think I'll post it before the series. But I was out in TD Garden yesterday, and that green energy was just running through my veins. I'm ready. I'm ready for this series. I'm ready for this playoff run. Check this out. I that's what I was going up to grab. Banner 19. All right. We got the ring here, banner 19. I'm ready. I know I'm getting off topic and stuff, but I'm just so excited for playoffs. Like playoffs, you guys, I don't even know why. You guys see the tat?
Oh yeah, let's go, man.
That's how Andrew and I met, by the way. Kind of
Yeah, that
like
is. Yeah,
the tattoo. The tattoo is kind of how Andrew and I met. Do you remember that story?
I do remember that story. Yeah, that was sick. Yeah.
Yeah, we were chilling in the broadcast booth, and he's like, "Yo, I love the tat. That's sick."
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what strike the conversation. That's the reason why Andrew's here today. You know, I feel like that conversation we had.
Yeah, for sure.
Eh,
But no, you're right. Um, the Celtics energy, the spirit of the fans, like you can feel it before the game. You can just feel it when you're in Boston, right? Stand outside that garden. You know, when you drive past, when you're on the Zakem and you drive past it, you feel the energy. You know, and it's playoff time, and we have another chance to win another banner, but we just have another chance to just kind of shut up the crowd and silence them, because I think that there's conversation. Oh, they had an easy run to the playoffs. I
mhm.
saw that. I saw someone comment that. Sorry about the dog.
All
Uh,
good, all good.
I
We,
had
we we love pets on here. We're pet friendly. We're pet friendly.
I had a they had a problem with that. There's just they never can accept that the Celtics are the team. You know,
Yeah.
so I think that, like we talked about, the fact that these playoffs are a little more competitive, maybe the fact that there's a little more there's more high stakes. That's gonna silence them. So it's just a new storyline that we are ready to embrace and witness, and Celtics fans are ready to go. And I just can't wait, man. I think playoff time is just such a beautiful thing to witness, and the intensity is just unmatched from the Celtics. So I'm ready for it. I feel your energy, man, and
Mhm.
it's time. It's time.
One thing I do want to go back to is too. We had a podcast on Celtics Nation Rise with GRD, and we sat down and he said one thing he wants is like, don't go buy tickets for these meaningless games. Bring your full intensity to the Garden. He talked about. He said the problem, and he thought the problem at the Garden this year was the energy wasn't there. So, as Jaylen Brown said, as the energy shifter, it's time to shift the energy, and it's time to ultimately win Banner 19. The crowd needs to be there. If the players are going to go there on a night to night basis, the crowd needs to be there as well. The crowd needs to be hyped up and be behind these guys all 4 quarters. Win or loss, we need to be behind these guys. A thing I value about OKC fans is one year when they lost. I don't know if it was last year or the year before, but OKC fans were at the airport to greet them. I'm not saying we're gonna lose. I'm just saying the fans need to be supportive. The fans. It starts off with the fans because that's where they get their energy from. Playing at TD Garden, it's loud. It's I you look on the road too. Our road fans travel. Like we look back to the caveman, haven't had him on in a long, long time, but he goes out to Brooklyn, goes out to Orlando, and he brings that intensity. And you see fans there going, "Let's go Celtics!" Like the energy needs to be there. We could travel well on the road. We could travel well. That's my value. The energy needs to be there. I look at that, and I think that's what could ultimately get you a series too. If the crowd's into it, and we're like, because we talk about the players a lot. We talk about, all right, Jason Tatum needs to do this. Jaylen Brown needs to do this. Jaylen Brown needs to have this kind of game in order to win. The fans, they play a crucial part in that because the fans need to be there. The fans need to be loud. Like there could be games where we're struggling and the fans bring us back into the game. That's
Mhm.
my thought. What are
No,
your
yeah,
thoughts?
I I agree. Like when it comes down to it, um, we play such a pivotal role in their success, and we it's just true. Like from a perspective, you feed off of crowds. You like to know that you got someone behind you that rooting for you, and we have that energy, we have that ability to make an impact. So it's part of our responsibility to do so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
I
think I agree. I think we have the capability to help them out. So let's help them out. Let's give them that energy.
I 100% agree. And I look at like the parade. We need to give them that parade energy. The parade was insane. I was there. You were there at the parade, right? Did you go to the parade?
I was. That was yeah. That was
That
awesome. Yeah, I was there. Yeah.
energy was there. And from you as a basketball player, how much does the crowd play a factor in games, would you say? If you had to say, how much would you say the crowd pulls a factor in?
No, the crowd does so much because when you're when you knock down a big three, and they add to that momentum shift, and when you're walking to your bench and you're struggling and you just hear the crowd absolutely roaring. You can't even communicate to your coach. You have no idea what's going on. Like, that affects it. And it's like the butterfly effect where everything matters, everything leads to one thing. And it's so critical, and that you have fans, everything matters in the playoffs. There's not one thing that you can kind of say, oh, this is effect. It all matters. And if we can, and detail matters, and when you can appreciate the crowd and they just give you that extra little spark when you need it, I mean, it's so helpful. And it just, and knowing that you have got people behind you that are rooting for you. Like Tatum always says it, like the reason why he fights through injuries and makes sure he gets on the floor is because of the fans. I mean,
Mhm.
fans give the players a purpose of who to play for, So we got to support them in every way, and don't be like those other crappy fans that boo a team because they're struggling, or they're not doing well. Like, just support them at all costs, and see where they can go.
I agree. Another thing I look back to when I went to Boston yesterday is Red Auerbach. I saw him in Quincy Market, that statue. We
Yes,
took a
sir.
picture with him. Um, that's the energy too. It's the culture. It's the winning expectation. It's the culture that Red Auerbach brought to this team. You go watch Celtic City. Great documentary. Check it out. I love that documentary. I look forward to my weeks and throwing on that documentary and giving it a watch on a week to week basis. But I look at that Celtics culture. It's what it is. It's the fans. It's the energy. It's the winning expectation here, and you have the chance for a big opportunity. Like I said earlier in the show, you have the chance to bring it back to back and win banner 19. I mean, you have the chance to be 2 banners ahead of the Lakers opposed to 1. You have a chance to really cement yourself in that history. Um, I'm excited for it. I'm hyped for this. I can't even explain how I'm feeling. If you're a diehard Celtics fan, you feel it too. It's that the other day I was literally having like I was like I wasn't able to do the podcast on Wednesday. Sorry, late podcast. I know. But I wasn't even able to function. I'm like, I'm so excited. I need to get my energy out. Like I need to get this Celtics energy out. Um, I'm rambling. That's how important playoffs are to me. I mean,
That's passion, though. That's passion right there. That's why we do it. And that's kind of like the feeling you get when you're a Celtics fan. There's when you're come playoff time, like you're gonna ramble. It's like, because you're just that excited, man. So I mean, and I just want to talk real quick. We got the stats like pulled
yeah,
up
of
from
course.
from the
Go into
series, from like the series averages. In all categories, the Celtics, were led the Magic. I mean, 116.3 averages for points per game compared to 105 for the Magic. I mean, that tells us that the Magic don't really put the ball in the hoop as much, and they're gonna want to slow the game down, right? So if we can do our best to like really get the ball out in transition and speed them up and get a high volume of shots, it's gonna be tough for the Magic to kind of stay with us. I mean, and then on the glass, the Celtics, they didn't lead it that much, but they led by like 4 on the glass. So obviously important to maintain the glass. Assists, they average 26.1 assists. And when we have 25 or more assists, typically we win those games. I don't know the exact record, but I know it's a very high win
Yeah.
percentage. So just like I said, that high volume of shots will lead to those assists. So just get the ball out in transition, move the ball fast, pick up the pace, and just force the Magic to kind of play on their heels and not let them get set on the offensive end. On the defensive end, turnovers. Magic commit like 14.2 turnovers in our series so far. So keep defensively forcing them. Like we said, the Magic like to slow the game down and they like to kind of play in that offensive setting. So I don't know, get up in them, like pressure them. When they inbound the bound, when they inbound the ball, have a guy there right away and force them into tougher possessions. And then I know a key stat that has been consistent throughout the entirety of the season is just we have a greater 3-point percentage than them, 36.83% in the series compared to their 31.8. They
Yeah.
don't really shoot the ball considerably well. So, like I said, get volume of shots up and just really, really try to just speed up the pace and hit threes. Like I think that will really help us in this series. So, on paper, the Celtics have all the keys to success and they should win. Do I think that they can have a bad game and maybe the Magic steals one because defensively they just find a way to contain us and slow us down? Yeah. But if we continue to play our brand of basketball, I don't see it going longer than 5.
I agree. I want to go. I love the stats, and I
Yeah.
love how you were throwing them at me. I want to do something. We're gonna do a segment on our series previews now. So this series preview, versus the Magic. Before I get into in depth, I'm gonna kind of give you a rundown of what our ideas are for content. So I think we're gonna try still for Wednesdays. We might, but I want to try to give you guys a series preview and then a recap of the series. We're gonna try to do it. It's a lot of content, and obviously we live busy lives, so we're gonna pump out as many podcasts as we can this playoff run, because you get into the off season and you're kind of like, oh, we don't have a lot of content. So this is gonna give you plenty of content, plenty of playoff action. Go for on Celtics Talk Weekly, post game shows after every single game. So go check that out. You're going to get all the playoff action this year. So make sure to like and subscribe, leave
Sure.
post notifications on, because we're going in depth. Um, we're going to give you all we got. We're going to give you every bit of energy we're going to put it into. As hard as our lives are to get content out, we're going to make it happen. So I had to ramble on that. So make sure to check out for Wednesdays. We might do it on Wednesdays. If not, it's going to be a series preview and a series recap, and then we'll do a series preview, recap. You guys get the whole gist of it. But I want to do a segment on our series previews. I want to do game plan scheme with Andrew. What do I kind of said earlier? I said we gotta talk about the fans, but what do the Boston Celtics need to do in order to win this series? What do you see as a basketball player? If you were doing a scouting report, I want you to give me a scouting. You kind of already did, essentially,
Yeah.
but I want to hear your keys to the game.
I say one thing: throw guys at Paul Mancaro.
Yep.
Make him don't contain him. Don't he's gonna give you buckets, but make sure that you let other guys, make other guys beat you. Whether it's Franz Wagner or Cole Anthony. Like we want Paulo Banchero to have a tough series. So just throw guys at him. Maybe show the occasional double. Like get the ball out of his hands and make other guys kind of do the work. Um, like I said, offensively, really push the pace and get a high volume of shots up because the Magic want to slow the game down. They average like 105.6. That's kind of their game plan. So if you can bring the score up and kind of just pile on points, like it's going to be hard for the Magic to kind of to stay in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then I think just defensively match the Magic, because they're going to have a defensive intensity, a level of play that the Celtics have to match, So make sure we're diving on the loose balls. Make sure we're doing the intangibles that make sure we're crashing the offensive glass. Not we can't let the Magic kind of find hope, and grasp onto the feeling that, oh wow, we could beat this team. So the loose balls, the offensive rebounds, not letting them get fast break opportunities. Really, really doing our best to make sure that they don't have any opportunities to really have momentum swings and all that, So I think that's a big factor, because they're going to come at us with a lot of firepower, and they're going to come at us with nothing to lose, like I talked about previously. So how can we, from a basketball perspective, prevent that from occurring? And I think that's really important for the Celtics to focus on.
I agree. You look at this really quick. Game 1 on April 20th, 3:30 Easter Sunday. I look at this and I'm hyped. I'm ready for this. And the thing about it is, I also love what you said right there, and I love how you can't let the Magic want to win. You can't let that even thought circle their head. You can't let the series go towards the Magic. You can't, because that's how a series will get you. But I look at this. I look at this stat from last year too. Well, not stat, but the Boston Celtics haven't lost more than 2 games in a row in a long time. So with that being said, I think that gives you a great advantage. I also look at this but I think from what the Celtics need to do is they need to keep their foot on the gas pedal the whole time. I talked about this all season long, especially towards the end of the season. I said building good habits, keeping their foot on the gas pedal. The Boston Celtics tend to build early leads and then let that foot off the gas pedal, and that kills them. I mean, that's a recipe for disaster. That's something that you don't want to see. You want to keep the intensity the whole way through, all 4 quarters, all of those minutes in that basketball game. You want to see the Boston Celtics keep that foot on the gas pedal. It's just how it is. Do you agree from a basketball perspective too? Keeping your foot on that gas pedal, you can't light up. You can't.
No, I agree, and it's playoff time, right? So every minute, every second matters, and a minute you take your foot off the gas, a team's going to attack that and take advantage of it, and that's going to put pressure on you, and it's going to make your life a lot harder. And like I said, it's going to give them hope. Like, we don't want them to play that. We don't want them to play that song.
No.
We don't want to hear Orlando Magic. Orlando Magic. We don't want to hear it.
We want to hear the Boston Celtics.
As much as I like it, I'm not going to lie. It's kind of a good one. It kind of gets me fired up. Celtics might need to come up with their own.
So there's a Boston Celtics one. There is.
Is there? Okay.
Yes. It's on TikTok. After the series, I'm going to play on here. So you want to hear a story really quick?
What I mean is, like, I'm not going to lie. That song does give me gives me a little energy, So don't let him play that song. No, I can't hear it.
I hate that song right now. I love that song, but I hate it this series.
I hate it right now. Yeah, no, it's not. It's a scary song.
It's a scary song. I better not be played. Better not.
I do not want to hear that song.
I'm not. Yeah, I agree. Four games. I don't want to hear any.
And then after, play it all you want.
Yeah, play it all the way back home to Orlando. Play it all the way home to Cancun. Play that song. Play that song. I look at a funny fact. So last year during the playoff runs, my younger brother has wiener dogs. All right, this is a hilarious thing. I can't believe. I think I talked about it once with Lewis and Kyle, but after the series, after a game, we'd play the Boston Celtics version of that. It goes, the Boston Celtics, the Boston Celtics. Oh, it's this guy singing it with a song in the background, but we do the wiener dog dance. They dance to it. So we call it the wiener dance after every win. Maybe we got to bring that back. That was a key for success. I mean, look, This hat says it all. I mean, this hat says it all. So maybe we gotta bring that back. Get Skylar on the series recaps or whatever. We'll figure it out. We'll figure it out. But we'll play that song after. I'm not getting anywhere near that song. I'm not playing the remix. I'm not playing any of that. I'm waiting till this series is over. With that being said, 5 minutes left we got in here. I want to go over series predictions, what we got what do you have the Celtics being in this series? What do you think the series is going to go to? Is it going to go as far as a game 7? Is it going to go as short as a game 4? What's your series thoughts and predictions?
I'm thinking it's going to go to like a game 5.
Okay. And what do the Celtics have to do to get there?
I
You
think,
already said it.
yeah. I mean, exactly what I said. And just to, I guess, add on top of it is just can play their style. Don't
Yeah.
play into the Magic style. Do not let them dictate the pace of the game. And just and don't let Paul Banchero take over and go off, because he's a key factor, and if you can kind of disrupt him, you're going to disrupt the offense, and it's going to be hard for them to succeed. So really focus on that.
I wanted to find a broom.
What do you think?
I said I want to find a broom, but I'm playing. I think 5 too. I think you gotta go 5. I feel like the Boston Celtics, they're I'd say 5. I feel like the Magic, they get 1, might get it at home, or no, I think if anything they'll get it at TD Garden.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Like I
yeah.
don't even know, like that. It sounds. I feel like maybe even that potential like first game or something. You know what I mean? I don't know if that makes sense. Like, because like Celtics are coming out with all this energy, and then like the Magic just kind of hit them, and I don't know. And maybe correct you if I'm like I could be wrong. Like it's kind of a crazy take, but
I like that.
But I feel like that's something that you wouldn't expect, But you come in there and it's that first game. You have all the energy in the world. You're ready to go. You're firing on all cylinders. You never know what could happen,
Yeah.
So I just think maybe that, like, because and the thing is, like, teams aren't settled in, it's playoffs. Maybe there's a little nervous energy. So it could be a little closer than you think. And if the Magic could kind of find a way to, pull away, you never know. But I mean, but then it's the other flip side. You can look at it and be like, yeah, the Celtics are going to have all the momentum in the world. They're going to have so much energy behind them. And they're just going to be like, get out of here. We're going, like, you're not winning. But I don't know. It's kind of a thought. And I think that the Celtics time do that, where they kind of underestimate what a team's capable of.
So if the Boston Celtics somehow by any chance did lose the first game, do you think that's scary? Do you think that means the Magic dictate some pace? Or do you think that's fine if they win the first one, the Boston Celtics are going to go out fire and win it all?
Yeah, I think it's fine. Like, I don't think it's going to be like, oh my God, we're screwed. I think it's just, like I said, it's kind of it's a different take, but like you just never. I mean,
I mess with it.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I think that would hurt. That would hurt the Celtics a little. It'd be like, oh crap, we're here. But it also would be like,
wake up call.
Oh, wow, wake up call. Like, yeah, this is playoff time. Like, let's go. So you never know. I don't know. But then I also think just away game. You got Orlando Magic first game away. You got the crowd involved. You got the Dragon mascot. I don't know his name. Getting the crowd.
Oh yeah, stupid mascot. Just kidding.
I don't know, but like, so you never know. It's kind of tough to like say which game they're gonna drop, but I wouldn't doubt that. I don't know for a fact, but there's obviously a chance that they could drop one.
I agree. I feel like it would be game 2. I think it'll be early in the series. I don't think it'll be later. I think the Boston Celtics, once they get that first loss, they're kind of like, if they get that first loss against them, it could be a sweep.
Yeah, it could be a sweep too.
Yeah. But I feel like once they get that, they're kind of going to be like, all right, it's time to shift the energy. We got to wake up. We got to do that.
Shout out JB. Shout out JB. Shift that energy.
Shift energy shifter. That's what the Boston Celtics got to do if they get off to like I'm not gonna say a for kind of like a early loss. They gotta shift that energy. But
Exactly.
ultimately, I feel like the Boston Celtics win this series. It's a tough one. It's a tough first matchup. It's not like, it's not like a clear cut. Like, all right, it's gonna be an easy one. It could totally. I think this has the potentially to go to a 6-game series. It could, but I think ultimately the Boston Celtics do it in 4 or 5.
Mhm.
But any final thoughts?
No, let's go, man. Let's go.
I'm ready. I'm ready. That green energy. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. Hold on.
My Celtics analyst says Celtics in 5, but my heart,
Says Celtics.
Celtics in 4, baby.
Yeah, I look, we gotta get the finals right there. We gotta go. Bleed green, you guys. Bleed green. Celtics in 4. Yeah, Celtics analyst is saying 5, but Celtics fan is saying Celtics in 4. You see that? You see that? Celtics in 4. Well, on all seriousness, we will see you guys maybe Wednesday. If not, we will see you guys after the series wraps up with a series recap. I'm excited for it. You guys heard everything here, and go check out Celtics Talk Weekly for the post-game shows. And on my account, maybe I'll have Andrew on if he's down. If we get done, we'll do recaps. We're still doing the recaps with the
For
Celtics
sure.
Nation Rise MVP. So go check all of that out. Thank you guys so much for watching. Go Boston Celtics. It's time to bring Banner 19 to the city. Thank you guys. Peace, guys.
Peace.